Raymond Abbas, or Hushpuppi, and the insane way he lied to the world and landed himself in prison. Raymond gained a lot of followers by presenting a lavish lifestyle. As his social media account began to grow, so did his plan. He and a group of 11 others created fake websites for well-known companies and banks to steal credit card information. In early 2020, the police in Dubai burst into Raymond's apartment in the early morning. During the raid, the police found an impressive stash. They discovered $37 million in cash in the home, most of which was stuffed into suitcases.
Who is Hushpuppi? Before the lavish vacations, the Louis Vuitton lieutenant, Fendi finesser. Well, it all started in Lagos, Nigeria. Born into poverty, his father was a cab driver and his mother sold bread on the side of the road. Combine this with the corrupt government in Nigeria, and Hushpuppi, aka Ramon Abbas, really didn't have many opportunities growing up. He eventually turned to a life of crime. He got together with a group of boys called Yahoo Boys. They committed cyber crimes. You know, everything from the Nigerian prince who you need to send money to pretending to be legitimate businesses and stealing money. Making enough money, he would eventually move to Malaysia, then to Dubai. From there, he would live a life of extravagance.
I can't keep myself. Allow me to flex.
However, this would all come to a crashing halt when Dubai police would arrest him. Inside his home, they found 47 computers, 21 smartphones, and 2 million addresses of victims that he targeted. In the end, he's looking at facing 20 years.
This is Ramon Abbas, popularly known as Hushpuppi. He's a Nigerian influencer known for posting photos and videos of his expensive lifestyle on Instagram, where he has 2.5 million followers, and on Snapchat, where he had over 1 million subscribers. $40 million in cash, 13 luxury cars worth $6.8 million, 21 computers, 47 smartphones, and the addresses of nearly 2 million alleged victims. This was what was recovered by the Dubai police when he was arrested in June 2020. He was then taken to the United States of America by the FBI, where he remains. Court records from the US, where he pleaded guilty to money laundering in April 2021, revealed his involvement in a clandestine criminal operation that made the FBI tag him as one of the most high-profile money launderers in the world. His targets included a US law firm, a foreign bank, and an English Premier League club.
Well, Ramon Abbas is a high-level member of a transnational criminal enterprise out of West Africa that he and his group are responsible for millions and millions of dollars worth of fraud, which is known within the FBI as the business email compromise. But one of the things that was different about him is he flaunted all of his stuff. He really kind of put it in everybody's face like, hey, look at me. Look what I've done. Look at my helicopters I'm flying in. Look at the lifestyle I have. And that's one of the things that really caused his demise.
Hushpuppi was born in Nigeria and raised in Oworoshoki, a low-income area in Lagos. Sometime around 2014, he moved to Malaysia, and by 2017, he moved to Dubai. With a lifestyle funded by money obtained by fraudulent means, how big of a scammer was Abbas? His former lawyer, Gal Pizetsky, describes him as a middleman.
When you look at the bottom line here, as far as what Ramon is charged with or has allegedly done, and to what he pled guilty to, when you look at it specifically as to him, Ramon was not that big money launderer that the newspapers or the government has made him to be, in my opinion. He was more of maybe what I would call a middleman in some instances. I would say that most of these alleged schemes did not come to fruition.
Court documents revealed his crimes cost victims almost $24 million. They revealed a scheme to steal more than $1.1 million from a business person funding a children's school in Qatar and laundering of illicit funds in banks all over the world. In the early 2000s, when Hushpuppi was a young man, there was the explosion of internet cafes across Nigeria. Young people flocked to these cafes as a source of entertainment. Not too long after, reports of cybercrime started to emerge as young men in chat rooms illicitly obtained money from the friends they made. Cybercrime expert Dr. Adedeji Oyenuga has studied these men and their crimes.
Cybercrime is evolving every time because when a particular technique is popular, the law enforcement will be trying to track down that particular technique, and then they discard it and look for another. They always come up with newer techniques. For example, when they realized that they could be tracked on their laptops, they came up with the idea of VPN. And when they realized that even some VPNs can be busted, they came up with the idea of buying logins from the dark web.
Hush and his team ran what the FBI calls a BEC scam, or a business email compromise scheme. Here's how it works. Hush and his team would send out phishing emails to a company staff, a staff member falls for it and shares some vital company info, then the team takes that information and uses it to access the company's official email accounts. Once they do this, they start monitoring every email sent and received by that account, waiting for it to send an invoice. Let's say company A is charging a client $1 million to refinance a property loan. As soon as the company sends the invoice, Hush's team gets to work making an exact copy of it. The only thing they change is the bank account number. Now the team creates an email account almost exactly like the one that usually sends the client's invoices. Maybe the real company email address is this, so Hush's team adds or removes a letter from it like this. It may seem obvious now as I show you, but when you're accepting an invoice from an email that looks sorta like this, and you get that invoice at the time you're expecting to get it, it's super easy to miss. This exact scam actually happened to someone very close to me. So the client gets an email from Kelsey apologizing for a mistake on the first invoice and instructing them to follow the instructions on this new error-free invoice. The client just thinks, phew, that was close, and deposits the money into the new account. The account controlled by Hushpuppi himself. With the money safely in Hush's eager hands, the email account is deleted and every trace of the scammers disappears into thin air. And the money? It gets laundered to distance itself from the original transaction, and then some of it gets divided up and sent to members of the team, while most of it stays with Hush. Hush's role in this whole scheme was to provide the bank accounts. Over the years, him and his team stole almost $500 million from almost anyone they could. A children's hospital in Qatar, a law firm in America. Anyone who was gullible enough to fall for their scheme saw their company lose millions. In most cases, no one wanted to go public with their loss. What law firm wants to advertise the fact that they got scammed out of $1 million by some guy online? At one point, Hush and his team were even planning on scamming an English football club out of $300 million. Luckily, the plan didn't go through. And for years, the FBI had been tracking down the people responsible for one of the most successful online rackets in history. When they finally arrested Hush's two friends, one of them had his phone on him. And on that phone, they found messages to a Snapchat account called Hushpuppi asking for banking details to use on a new scam. Unfortunately for Hushpuppi, he had gotten a little too comfortable with his life as a multi-millionaire scam artist. He connected all his social media to his phone number and email, and using that, the FBI had finally been able to start looking in the right direction. The birthday party was just the cherry on top. Here they had Hushpuppi partying with confirmed internet scammers. It was all they needed to arrest him and send him to prison for a very, very long time. If there's one lesson we can learn from this, is that if you make your money in a sketchy manner, which I'm not advising you to do, learn a little something from our man Hush and keep your flexing to your close friends list.